Canada and the Post-War Age. Learning goal: to learn about the international and political events that affected Canada after World War II. Canada's post-war foreign policy. The Canadian government decided to focus on the following areas: foreign aid, peacekeeping, immigration, and trade. Canada's foreign policy from 1945 to 1969 focused on the following major areas: promoting world peace and awareness of human rights issues, cooperating with the United States in continental defense through NATO and NORAD, and increasing foreign aid to less developed nations through United Nations agencies. Canada and the Cold War, 1945 to 1989. The Cold War was a state of hostility between the United States and the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, USSR. It began in 1945 as a result of the tensions which began to mount with the ending of World War II and the Potsdam Conference. The Cold War was mostly fought by indirect means, like propaganda, so negative stories released by both sides to make the other look bad. Spies and espionage, worldwide spy rings, were set up by both countries to find out each other's military, scientific, and political secrets. Arms race, both sides spent billions. Proxy wars. Wars that were fought during the Cold War, but they were fought through client states. Both the US and Soviets would send help to their client states. War, 1950 Korean War, United States, South Korea, Soviet Union, North Korea. 1963 Vietnam War, South Vietnam, United States, North Vietnam, Soviet Union. 1978 Afghanistan, Afghan rebels, United States, Afghan communists, Soviet Union. Israeli Palestinians, United States, Israelis, Soviet Union, Palestinians. Military alliances. Each country set up alliances to protect themselves and the countries that each influenced. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO. This 1949 alliance was between the US, Canada, and Western Europe to oppose communist takeovers. Warsaw Pact. 1955 was an alliance between USSR and all former Soviet bloc countries to oppose democratic takeovers. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1989, this agreement was eradicated. North American Air Defense Command, NORAD. This 1957 alliance is between US and Canada to defend against hostile takeovers. 3 radar systems were built to detect an air invasion of North America. Pine Tree Radar System, built along the Canadian and American border. Mid-Canada Line ran along the 55th North Parallel, and Distant Early Warning DEW Line was situated along the Arctic coastline. The Korean War, 1950, June. Korean War begins. Korea was split into North and South September 8, 1945, and the Korean War marks the first armed confrontation in the Cold War. North Korea received aid mainly from the Soviets and China, while South Korea received help from the UN and the UK. Why international intervention? The UN believed that communism was acting in Korea, just as Hitler, Mussolini, and the Japanese had 10, 15, and 20 years ago. If South Korea was to fall to communist leaders, they would be more motivated to invade other nations in Southeast Asia. Outcome of the war, Korea stayed separated, and war is still not officially over. They are only in a ceasefire. The Suez Crisis, proxy wars. In 1800s, Britain and France dig a canal from the Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea to facilitate trade. In 1956, President Gamal Abdel Nasser nationalizes the canal. He wishes to break colonial hold and raise money to destroy the newly created State of Israel. Britain and France send army to protect their interests. USSR supports Egypt and threatens nuclear attacks on London and Paris. Lester B. Pearson is Secretary General of the UN. He proposes the creation of peacekeeping force to stand between opposing forces during peace negotiations. Fall of the Berlin Wall and the collapse of communism in Europe. June 13, 1990, the Berlin Wall comes down. October 3, 1990, East and West Germany were officially reunited. And December 25, 1991, the Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev announces the dissolution of the Soviet Union.